long time coming, but I know a change gonna come. That's the sound of the men working on the chain gang. Don't know much about history, don't know much biology.
What caused you at that point in your career of 57 to turn to this kind of singing?
My economic situation.
Sam Cooke didn't just walk into popular music, he rewired it. One minute he was the velvet-voiced lead of the gospel group Soul Stirrers. The next he was crooning You Send Me across segregated airwaves and cashing royalty checks bigger than anything an African-American solo artist had ever seen. But on November 11th, 1964, Cooke lay dead on the floor of a Los Angeles motel office, shot by a manager who claimed self-defense. The LAPD wrapped the case in 72 hours, stamped it justifiable, and filed it away. A superstar was gone, a movement lost a melodic megaphone, and rumors have hummed ever since. Did Cooke's DIY business empire and civil rights activism make him too dangerous to live? Or was it simply a tragic tangle of alcohol, jealousy, and terrible timing? The paper trail is thin, yet the unanswered questions remain thick enough to fill recording studios. Let's trace the ascent, the activism, the money moves, and the bullet behind the man some call the original target of music industry suppression. Sam Cooke's journey began in Clarksdale, Mississippi, but his voice found full bloom on Chicago's South Side, where his minister father ran choir rehearsals like boot camp. At 19, Sam replaced gospel legend R. Harris in the Soul Stirrers and made sanctified crowds scream as if revival tent stakes were electric. By 1956, he wanted more than church pews could offer. He wanted RCA radios and movie theater marquees. Rebranding himself Dale Cooke for a crossover test single, he slipped lovable onto secular stations. Congregations felt betrayed, but the sound was undeniable. 1 year later, he dropped the pseudonym and You Send Me on Keen Records, a small indie that agreed to let him keep a slice of publishing. It shot to number one on both R&B and pop charts, making Cooke the first black male soloist to top the mainstream Hot 100 without covering a white singer's tune. Corporate America was polite enough when he was just a pretty voice, but Cooke wanted contracts written in his own ink. In 1959, he created SAR Records with manager J.W. Alexander and Keggs Publishing, securing ownership of master recordings for the Valentinos, Johnny Taylor, and Many Suspect, a vault of his own sessions. Such vertical control was almost unheard of for any artist, let alone a black Southerner operating in Jim Crow America. Industry execs grumbled that Sam was too smart for his station, but the numbers didn't lie. After signing a groundbreaking deal with RCA in 1960, $100,000 advance plus a royalty rate rivaling Sinatra's, Cooke delivered Chain Gang, Cupid, and Twistin' the Night Away, hits that fattened RCA's bottom even as they feared his independence. Artistic autonomy emboldened Cooke's activism. While touring the South, he saw fans forced to stand outside venues that carried his name on the marquee. He began refusing segregated shows, losing short-term cash but gaining moral clarity. He donated to the NAACP, met privately with Malcolm X in Harlem, and forged a friendship with the newly crowned Cassius Clay, later Muhammad Ali. In early 1963, after hotel staff in Louisiana denied him a room because he was black, Sam penned A Change Is Gonna Come, trading pop polish for orchestral despair and prophetic hope. The song wouldn't release until after his death, but he was already performing it at voter registration fundraisers and slipping into closed-door strategy sessions with Southern Christian Leadership Conference organizers. To some label insiders, political sermons from their star singer sounded like bad publicity. To J. Edgar Hoover's FBI, it sounded like subversion worth monitoring. By mid-1964, Cooke noticed bookings mysteriously canceled, disc jockey payola budgets drying up, and tabloid whispers that he'd gone militant. Yet Billboard still crowned him most played male artist that summer. Behind the scenes, a tug-of-war over his catalog intensified. Enter manager-accountant Alan Klein, who offered to straighten Cooke's royalty snarls in exchange for 50% ownership of the singer's existing and future copyrights. Cooke agreed, trusting Klein's promise that he'd double Sam's income. Lawyers were finalizing the paperwork that December. Cooke reportedly planned to use the windfall to fund voter rights concerts and expand SAR into a black-owned Motown rival. Whatever the grand design, it died with him. December 11th, 1964. Cooke checks into Hollywood's Hacienda Motel under his own name after a dinner club date, accompanied by 22-year-old Eurasian escort Elisa Boyer. He's wearing a cashmere coat and carrying a wad of bills said to be $5,000. Roughly 2 hours later, he bursts half-dressed into the motel office, bleeding, raging. alleging Boyer stole his money and clothes. Manager Bertha Franklin claims he attacked her. She shoots him 3 times with a .22 pistol, 1 bullet piercing his heart. Police arrive to find Cooke dead, dressed only in a sport coat and single shoe. Boyer is located hours later with $20 of Cooke's cash in her purse, telling detectives she fled the room out of fear. An inquest lasting all of 45 minutes deems the killing justifiable homicide. Case closed. The official narrative left glaring holes. Cooke's Rolls-Royce contained no wallet or cash. Autopsy photos show a massive head wound and marks on his arms inconsistent with a brief scuffle. Friends insist Sam never traveled with less than $1,000. Why steal merely $20? Music industry rumor mills churn. Cooke was carrying union strike funds. Cooke discovered Klein skimming. Cooke planned to move SAR masters overseas. Conspiracy theorists point to Boyer's shifting statements. First she was a party girl, then a hitchhiker. First Cooke was aggressive, then merely drunk. Franklin the shooter hired a defense lawyer funded, some allege by a nightclub syndicate fearing Cooke's planned artist-owned concert circuit. None of it is proven, all of it suspicious. After the death, Klein's company, ABKCO, finalized its control of Cooke's publishing, an asset that would grow to hundreds of millions over decades of radio spins and film syncs. Cooke's family sued, ABKCO settled, but Klein retained administration rights. SAR records folded, its acts scattered. Whether Klein orchestrated anything beyond smart timing is guesswork, yet his financial windfall is undeniable. Meanwhile, RCA leveraged posthumous grief. Cooke's final studio LP sold triple initial projections. A Change Is Gonna Come became an anthem, ironically enriching the very label executives who once feared its political bite. Barely 3 months later, Cooke's widow Barbara married his 19-year-old protege Bobby Womack, igniting scandal that diverted attention from unanswered homicide questions. Tabloids feasted, serious reporters moved on. In black communities, whispers persisted. Sam was silenced because he threatened a segregated economy of radio, venues, and record sales. For the next 40 years, the LAPD refused calls to reopen the case, citing no new evidence. What cannot be buried is the resonance. A Change Is Gonna Come became a soundtrack for Selma marchers in '65, a rally cry for kids against gun violence in the '90s, and the walk-on music for Barack Obama the night he won the presidency. Modern artists chase Cooke's template: own your masters, write your truths, and sing them into existence. Prince, Nipsey Hussle, and Taylor Swift all cite Cooke's independence as blueprint. Yet ownership still breeds backlash. In 2023, when independent hip-hop star Russ shouted out Cooke in a lecture on masters, trolls resurrected the setup theory as cautionary meme. So was Sam Cooke murdered because he overreached, because he protected a woman, or because he threatened a multi-million-dollar status quo? The file stamped Justified says one thing: the missing money, the missing clothing, and the missing follow-up investigation whisper another. What endures is the music and the roadmap. Cooke proved an artist could leap from choir loft to boardroom, could croon love songs one night and bankroll freedom rides the next. He didn't live to see the change he prophesied, but every civil rights playlist, every indie label brave enough to demand its masters, pulses with the echo of his impossible falsetto, asking a still relevant question: is there a new day today?